Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Kyle and today we have a full body recovery boosting stretch. This is a yoga based stretch and this is ideal for athletes or anyone who would like to supplement any other kind of exercise, especially if you are kind of building strength outside of the yoga world and would like to bring your body into a state of recovery as quickly and as fast as possible. Now, I have designed this particular stretch to be short and sweet and to the point, and I would recommend doing this after your exercise. So if you're in the gym and you're pressing, or if you're doing some CrossFit or even some running, anything that's kind of building up some endurance and some strength, this is a perfect class to do after that. So best find a quiet corner and you can lay out on a mat or even just on the ground. Some gyms have those kind of like foam pads, and take some time to bring the body from a active nervous system to a relaxed one. So a sympathetic to a parasympathetic. And in doing so, we give the body a chance to get into that recovery state. And I don't like to waste time with this kind of thing. So this is exactly what you need to do it as quickly as possible. So we're going to begin today in a kneeling position. Now, I would say this is probably the most challenging, but also the most important. I find that this posture is often neglected. So we're going to be sitting with the toes tucked, stretching out the base of the feet. And I find that making some time to do some stretches is super important, especially if you want to avoid injury. And if you're adding in some stretching into your routine and you're coming from strength like weightlifting and pressing, you want to make sure that you're warming up the wrists properly. So I like to send the wrists back or the fingers back, and then just sit back onto the toes and feel a stretch into the wrists and into the forearms. So this definitely helps a lot with the recovery with your grip strength. And you can turn the other way, fingers back. This is a little bit more challenging, and you can kind of rock the weight gently. So not putting too much weight on the wrists, but really sitting back onto the toes. We're gonna move back, base of the feet. Now this is something that I learned in my yoga training. We have to sit like this for ages just to stretch out the base of the feet. And especially because if you're really grounding down through the feet, they can get super crampy. And this is good to just give yourself a good opportunity to ground down. And again, we're gonna work some space into the wrists. Sometimes I like to grip the hands. Now, if you find that a dog runs across the screen in the background, this is my dog, Frankie, and Shirley, the other one. So please do ignore them. They're just having some time out in the sunshine. Okay, so from here, we're going to work through just a bit of mobility in the spine. So I'm going to take a deep breath in and lower the belly and look up. As you exhale, we're going to round and curl into the body and press. Nice. Inhale, so lower the body, look up, belly comes down. Exhale, curl into the spine and press. 2 more times. Inhale, lower the belly, look up. Exhale, curl and press. Nice. We're going to release. So from here, we're going to come into possibly one of my favorite stretches. You're going to place the right foot on the outside of the right hand and ground the palms. Now, if this is too much for your hips, which often for a lot of the gents it is, and when I started, it was incredibly painful, you can come up into the fingertips, or if you're in a gym and you have anything else that can give you some height, like some like yoga blocks or even a set of weights or whatever it may be, just to give yourself a bit of height off the floor, it helps. So this in the yoga world is called a lizard lunge or a runner's lunge. And you just want to work some sort of motional mobility into the hip. You can come forwards and backwards. And even if you don't have much time to do a full sequence like this, even just doing this posture alone really helps. So from here, you can even add on. And what I like to do is we're going to add, so from here, we're working into the hips, which is nice. We're going to work into the quad. So you're going to send the right arm back, take hold of the left foot. And then from here, you're going to open up your chest and look over the right shoulder. Now, this is a very strong stretch. So we're working the full front all the way, opening up the chest. So if you kind of really pressing into the chest, you want to open up the pectoral muscles. This is also very good for your posture. And believe it or not, this may sound a little bit esoteric, but when your body rounds over, it also closes in your mind. So like the way you feel can also feel quite closed. So, you know, if you're an anxious person, like I was an extremely anxious person, and as a result, you kind of tend to round your shoulders over, which also closes in your mind. So if you want to make yourself feel open and proud and strong, you open up the chest, look up and over the right shoulder. And at the same time, you're going to lower the hips forward and down. All right, so we're going to switch this out. Bringing the left foot forward. It's going to stay for a moment. And you'll find that as you go, this posture has become a little bit more familiar. Your body gets a little bit more in tune to being in these kind of positions. And then you can create some space for your attention to focus on the breath. Now, I like to gamify this process. I have my little smartwatch, my Garmin watch, which I pretty much bought just for the heart rate monitor. And the reason why I have this is because I like to try and keep my heart rate as low as possible, which is a fun way of gamifying meditation, I suppose. And the idea is with the slow breathing, so you want to encourage nice slow breaths. And I know it's difficult to keep your attention on there, but that's the idea, is to try and train your focus. And just like you would in the gym, if you're pressing, you're using the breath to increase the body. If you slow it down, you can also slow your heart rate down. And in doing so, you take your nervous system into a relaxed state, a parasympathetic state. So we're going to actually send the arm back, open up the chest, look over the shoulder. And in that parasympathetic state, your body gets to recover and rest a lot faster. And that's like the really nice thing about adding stretching into your routine. You can also just move the hips forward, open up, look over the chest. If you're adding stretching at the end of your routine, which I would highly recommend, I started doing this way too late in my life. It allows your body to recover faster, which is interesting because you're actually looking after your body, and encouraging recovery is as important as recovering the strengthening and the building. All right, so from here, we're gonna lower down onto the ground, coming with the elbows, kind of aiming to get them underneath the shoulders. A nice judge of length is to take your hands and to touch the opposites. Hands flatten the ground, untuck the toes, press the feet into the floor, and you're just gonna open up the chest. So bring the belly forward and down, and lift up the chest and draw the shoulders back and down. So in the yoga world, this is called a Sphinx pose. And what's great about this is we're gonna be kind of working against the rounding. So opening up the chest. And again, maybe a nice opportunity to focus on the breath. And you can keep this passive. Here, if you want to activate a little bit more, you can draw the elbows towards the hips, so you're kind of pulling the chest through. And if this is kind of feeling good and you'd like to add a little more, you can always press into the arms and open up the chest. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and release. From here, we're going to work into our chest, opening up our pectorals. So extending the right arm out beside you. And from here, you can take your left arm as support. So I just like to have my elbow facing up. And you're going to take your left leg and wrap it over. So now this is quite strong, but you can feel where you are in your own body. You're going to roll the chest open. And for a lot of the gents in the gym, especially if you're pressing in through your chest, if you're working like dumbbell press, your pec is a big muscle and it tightens all the way from the shoulder into the center of the chest. So you really want to open that self up, which helps a lot with your posture. And again, a nice opportunity to just slow the breath down, especially when things get a little bit sore. Like my chest is aching because I've recently been getting back into some bodyweight exercises and my pecs aren't nice and tight. If you find your neck is a little bit sore, you can also rest the neck down. I don't have a block here, but you can always place a block. Just rest maybe my head on my hand here. Okay, we're going to switch out. Placing the left arm up beside you, right arm for support. Just roll gently over, and you can take the right leg to place off the mat. And as I was saying with the Garmin watch or the smartwatch, is that you can find a zone for the heart rate. So I think it's zone 1, where you're just trying to moderate your heart at a low level. And I got into this because someone was talking a lot about zone 2 for running on some of the social media. I think it was TikTok, and it got me. I was super into it. The idea of running with a low heart rate. So testing the body physically, but keeping the heart rate as low as possible by using the breath. And apparently it's really, really good. And I've been employing this, so you can come out and release. We're gonna just make our way onto a seat and extend the right leg out in front of you. Bring the left leg in. So from here, if your leg is super tight, if your hamstrings are tight, I would recommend placing a block under here or even just a towel to roll up just to give yourself just a slight bend, and I'll explain why now. And the other option, if your leg is up in the sky like this, especially if your hips are tight, rather place something under here to rest so you can relax, get the body into that recovery mode. So you're gonna take the inhale, arms reach up, you're gonna twist towards a straightened leg, make sure you flex your right toes, shift forward and release. So you're just gonna hold this, focus on the breath. And as I was saying, so I was finding this zone 2 running very attractive, and I've got this watch now, and I've been getting back into some running. I had avoided running for a long time because I felt it was kind of undoing my flexibility journey. And since then, I've been focusing on the breath, and I find it super useful to use in my stretching. So I try and keep my heart rate kind of around 70 to 80. And again, if I've noticed that I'm straining into the posture, my heart rate will rise, and then I use my breath, nice long smooth breaths, just to calm down. Okay, we're gonna release. Now, you're gonna place the right hand on your left knee. And from here, you're just gonna reach your left arm up and over, just working a nice stretch into the side body. And it doesn't matter if your posture looks like this or whatever it may be, it doesn't have to look like anything. You can also play around with bending into the knee, it also helps a lot. But you're just using this arm to rinse the spine, so you're kind of using it to leverage to open up. You wanna keep yourself as flat as possible, so kind of shining your chest to the screen as much as possible, reaching up and over. It's also nice just to work into your lats, even into your tricep, twisting in through the spine. I don't know if you can hear Frank there in the background. And we're gonna release. So exchange the legs out. Left leg comes out, right leg comes in. So as you can see, my right side's a little bit tighter and my knee's up in the sky. So ideally I would have something underneath here. Otherwise you can just actively press into the floor, arms reach up, twist towards the straightened leg, shift forward and release. So the nice thing about these kind of basic and really simple stretches is that they work the large muscles in your body. And you can get into this routine where you can kind of almost just memorize it or put the video on in the background without any sound, just because you can kind of get used to it. Close the eyes and really just focus in relaxing into the postures. And funny enough, research has shown that these more passive postures where you hold the posture, these static passive posture stretching, is the most effective for lengthening the muscles and increasing recovery. All right, we're gonna switch it out. Left hand comes onto the outside of the right knee. So you're gonna use that to twist the body, and the arm comes up and over the head. And it's actually so nice to get back into some of these slower stretching routines. I've got a lot of vinyasa flows on my channel, slightly longer, harder, a little bit more dynamic with the movements, which is great for building strength and flexibility. It's definitely something you should have a look at, especially if you're new to yoga. There's some good options there. But I must say, I'm really enjoying the nice, deep, static stretches. And release. Come around to the front of the mat. Now, you're gonna pat your hamstrings down, just to release. Now, this is a great thing. You're gonna start with a bend to the knees. So my hamstrings are quite tight. So I have a very generous bend. You're gonna press the belly onto the thighs. You're gonna take hold of the feet, open up the chest, and then from here, you're gonna keep this connection as if there's like a nice clamp, like you're trying to clamp a pencil, and then walk your sitting bones back until you find that nice sweet spot, and then release the back of the neck down. And I'd say when you begin your stretching journey, the consistency is key. I would recommend doing, you want to kind of set aside 5 to 10 minutes about 3 to 4 times a week, just to keep that regularity going. And you can release to roll up. We're going to lower down into our backs. And you don't need to hold the pose for more than, a minute or two each side. So you're going to draw the right knee to the chest, flex the toes. It's just a gentle squeeze, tuck your chin, and then you're going to lower the leg over to the left-hand side. It's called supine twist. This is my favorite spinal stretch pose. And then look up and over the right shoulder. Now, please ignore Frankie in the background there. She's just having a blast. She has recently found her voice, which I suppose is a good thing, not necessarily for filming. So doing at least a minute or 2 minutes each side is more than enough, but you want to keep yourself consistent. So you can release, draw the right knee in, left leg comes into squeeze, tuck the chin, flex both toes. So you may not necessarily find immediate relief like after a video like this, but I can tell you that if you do this at least 3 times a week, so lower the leg over to the right-hand side, look up and over the left shoulder, and you want to keep your left shoulder as close to the ground as possible. And again, use your exhales to create a resting and relaxing and stretching across the body. But perhaps if you make it a habit to do even just 10 minutes of stretching after your workout, it's just a great way to keep that flexibility journey going. Nice, and release. Take the knees and just window wiper from left to right. And we're going to come up into a seat. You're going to cross your legs. Take a nice tall posture, hands onto your knees, deep breath in. And close your eyes just for a minute, just to focus on the breath. Take a deep breath in. And a long breath out. Deep breath in. A long breath out. See if you can soften into the jaw and your eyes. Inhale. Exhale. Make it slightly deeper. Nice slow breath in. And a slow breath out. Nice, you can blink your eyes open. Well done, thank you for joining me. Hope you enjoyed your stretching class for recovery. And if you're looking to add some more kind of movement-based practices and get into the world of yoga, there's a lot more to offer. Go and have a look at the channel. There's a variety of different sort of meditations, right from beginners all the way up to getting all those crazy twists, which are super fun. And it's a great place to go and explore movement and the breath, the meditation, and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I'll see you next time on the mat.